We hope you agree to do so voluntarily, but failing that, we have every intention of continuing to elicit public support in the public interest, to have the work order enforced and to obtain full inspections and compliance, and to collect any unpaid fine or taxes as required by law. Also in the N5 notice also in the N5 notice sent by you on behalf of Commissions Worldwide Inc., dated 31/12/20, you had indicated, quote, received an email from the city, end quote, and are claiming that they stated there was a, quote, illegal structure, end quote, and, quote, hazards, end quote, but provided no proof of the email from the city. That is okay, because we are glad to see that you have issues with the property standards or based on the statements in the N5 should have no problem agreeing to proper determination by way of a full inspection, so your cooperation in this matter is expected as well as required. I do wish to acknowledge in writing, though, that Mark Koenig had an employee drop off his version of the filing on May 5th, 2021, which I hope is an indication that he will continue to honor the offer of a voluntary restraining order as proposed in my last communication regarding the water heater issue sent April 21st, 2021. At the same time, due to the actions of Mr. Koenig and others with regard to the ongoing harassment and multiple misrepresentations by Mr. Koenig and others, and his apparent connection to Atlas Property Group Waterloo with regard to his role as Chief Financial Officer, and the role of Koenig Holdings, which is the same thing outside of the registration, which we believe is direct actions and inaction taken indicates a darker purpose, especially in light of the facts surrounding this situation. Multiple misrepresentations on municipal documents, including the procurement of the residential rental license issued March 26, 2020 and currently in effect until August 31st, 2021. Based on the multiple filings and refilings under various entities you represented before the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Tribunals and others, in this current matter will also be fully addressed that it is more than suspect given the current state of affairs and the amount of apparent biased and shared cooperation that was required at all levels to have orchestrated this ex parte attempt at what we can only assume was a quick solution without recourse. Good thing I pay attention and have the required knowledge that we found out in time, I guess. Your team must not be happy, and I'm proud to say there is good reason for you to be concerned from a legal standpoint from what I understand, especially now. Regardless, as you are clearly identified as the representative for both Mark Koenig as Koenig Holdings, with us in email communications, etc., and also representing him before the tribunal as Atlas Property Group Waterloo, in multiple documents sent, received, and filed before tribunal, I am requesting that you clarify what Mr. Koenig's position is with Atlas, and more importantly, are they closed permanently and no longer operating? Also, due to his position with Atlas Property Group, it means that both Mr. Koenig, on behalf of Koenig Holdings, and Atlas Property Group and Theo Papadopoulos, owner, were properly informed of our request to prove the validity of the rental license since it was first installed on the property in 2020, as per the reference to the July 7th letter that they were all sent party to. I can only imagine that the prospect of reviewing every application for a rental license in Waterloo to be properly reviewed for accuracy was too much for Mark and the company to bear, which is why they folded up the proverbial tent and crept off into the night, including abandoning their claim, as indicated in the resulting order. Over one letter and one accusation of fraud, that this case doesn't have merit? We're powerless? No, the law is here to protect the innocent, not to be a tool of manipulation and misrepresentation and fraud, which has now added up to proved malfeasance and misfeasance, which is going to survive any and all cooperative willing partner thing you've got going with municipal affairs. Bet you wish you had honored our agreement at least now, and if not, you soon may, given what you have turned it into. Every time you turn around and try to deceive, it blows up in your proverbial face and adds more cost. For example, shut down Atlas. Steve Ross is no longer solicitor for City of Waterloo. Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing and Tribunal System, legal system in Canada is exposed for the people to see on YouTube in real time, etc. Is it worth it? We will see. By the way, the total amount of unlawful rent paid to date at 100A Marshall Street by Bacon Duval is $28,800 plus damages and costs, plus still owe us a 2-year lease at $1,200 a month, like, kind, and quality in the marketplace. potentially over $1 million in uncollected fines, penalties on the current work order. And God forbid if you are negotiating a bank loan or financing, etc., when obstructing the proper filing of an outstanding work order is misrepresenting the true value of the property because the lawful lien against the property is not being reported lawfully, and then becomes a burden on the taxpayer, and in our opinion, fraud. Of course, as you are probably aware as a trained and qualified member of the legal profession, that judicial immunity, etc., is not covered while acting in bad faith, and is known in Canada as malfeasance in public office. For example, when public office holders acts or fails to act in a way that constitutes a breach of the duties of that office, which then becomes a civil tort action by way of misfeasance in public office. For example, knowingly engaging in unlawful conduct that causes harm or should have known would cause harm. And the ministry and all of the evidence to date is proof, especially given the attempt at ex parte hearings and failure to provide proper documentation. Hold on to your hats. Needless to say, we have more than enough for human rights in a criminal investigation. Public support will do the rest. You can cut a check to return all unlawful monies paid to date at any time. It would be a good gesture and may reduce your obvious liability. And lastly, Ms. Nadon, we will be following up with the governing bodies and authorities as to your continued conduct in these matters. We require a written response in a timely manner. Govern yourself carefully. Content sent by registered mail to Lisa Nadon, representative, in envelope addressed to Theo Papadopoulos, care of 183 Weaver Street, North Waterloo, Ontario, Norman 2J 3H3, May 7, 2021, which was actually inserted into the envelope that went to registered mail to her. 1 copy of invoice left from Reliance Home Heating for the water heater installation. 2, mail from Reliance addressed to Theo Papadopoulos at 98B Marshall Street, unopened. 3, Bank of Montreal draft number 907-207 dated August 4, 2020, $1,200 to Commissions Worldwide, Inc. Sincerely, without reservation, C.J. Bacon, Christopher Bacon, Director, Marshall Street Tenant Association, MSTA, on behalf of Kerry Mills, Member, MSTA, Tenant, 98B Marshall Street, Waterloo. Hope all is well with you and yours. Be well. We are our brother's keeper. Pay it forward. And may peace be with you and yours always. Which is my standard sign. And again, this was sent May 7th by registered mail and received by them. This was our response to the ex parte attempt. And again, it took me from May 7th to May 31st to get a letter done. So, does that tell you anything? What's your definition of hardship? Again, I left this in the context that it's an open case for a possible cause of action, pending cause of action, because they are doing unnecessary things. It has been sent to the Commissioner, Rod Rieger, and others, including the Minister, to say that we are requesting a judge to review this and a commissioner to review this. And we are demanding an inspection immediately. And there's no other way that this ends without it being, again, they've already got it set. And I will also make a claim here that if they go ahead with the hearing, if they ignore this again, do no inspection, we will be going live on YouTube on Wednesday to do the full, accurate portrayal of the full legal standing as of that date and time, to document it for future reference. And that will be publicly held in the public interest for the public good, in order to say this is not a shine-on. That leaves it open because, again, I'm not expecting to survive this. I mean, I'm in trouble. I've been in trouble since February with my health. That's the other thing I'm dealing with, which they know, and they're, again, exploiting to everything. So, 250 Indigenous children, that's only the ones they found at one school. And Trudeau has the gall to demand that the Catholic Church do something about it. Who are they doing it for? Who are you doing it for? You are the Crown's Prime Minister. Just like MacDonald was the Crown's Prime Minister. You cannot look at history at any point without looking at this Commonwealth welfare state recipient. This is part of Charles's Great Reset. The ways and means is through the banks and government. Banks and government are required to follow the law too, are they not? Because it looks to me like this is an example of the other way around. Tied to real estate because they no doubt knew that oil is tanking. They even got caught off surprise because actual boards beat them to the punch. Don't expect the price of gas to go down anytime soon in Canada. This is the same entity that's been, you know, there's a people in Manitoba that were living peacefully beside in their culture. Total clean water, responsible, taking care. And ever since this entity showed up, who's again, they're under the care, like Walkerton. Right? You're starting to see a pattern now? Judicial immunity, ways and means, dictated. This is Municipal Act containment by design. It's an election year. We're supposed to be having a municipal election this year, and it looks like Trudeau's trying to cloud the water because, again, municipal is the ways and means of the crown. Plain and simple. Ontario Municipal Board, that's why they can overrule anything we do. It's called notwithstanding. And Blair Group, I've been listening to 570 AM, and I'm hearing the same thing happening with you. They look you in the eye and they don't have to answer you, and as long as they don't say anything or acknowledge that they heard exactly the way you're saying what you're saying, well, you know, or even if you write it down in context and send it directly to them, even by registered mail, I would imagine. It's just like, la 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 la, I didn't hear it, I don't know. Oh, Miss Telford, did you tell me about that? Did we discuss that? We have so much on the go. I can't remember. Can you remember? Well, let's just hem and haw and everything else, because we don't need to tell you anything about any scandal. What you don't know about what we're doing won't hurt us. But like I said, it's called notwithstanding. Whether it's residential children, God forbid. Well, I mean, their God didn't forbid it. What's so different? Uyghurs in China. Disabled people left to die in a facility that's sold to them as medical care and observation. It's all a sales job, isn't it? Anyway, this is long enough, but I hope, you know, they made the mistake of they didn't know who I was. I have dealt with this before. And besides, anybody who can read can see what's going on here. So, again, I've done the best I can with what I got. I've left a trail. If they're successful in this, again, the whole point is take away resources, right? Like we had a place, a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom townhouse. We were sharing. I had my own facilities for myself as a disabled person in the basement. My own private washroom, which we looked for and got. Air conditioning. It was supposed to have a fenced-in backyard for the dog. All of these things negotiated in good faith and supposed to be delivered on, none of which ever worked. There was a license hanging up. When we viewed that property, he gave us his Coupo Marcoux card, and there was a license hanging up. We signed a lease. Stroked out some of the stuff that was illegal because it's not a lawful lease. But we filled out a proper rental application, which is. There's an easy way to do this, and they're just playing the middle. Because the ultimate responsibility for all of this goes to Stephen Clark, the Attorney General, Solicitor General, Finance Minister, the Crown and Right of Canada, the Justice Ministers all across the board, and we are seeking, I need somebody to help, like, I will bequeath it if I need to, but I have the detailed, you want to listen to their lies? I've got them on tape. The actual lies. In their own words, in real time, while they're doing it. And this is over. So I was injured in 2004, was declared disabled in 2004 because of my brain injury. This is over the whole time they've been rolling out AODA and doing all these improvements to encourage inclusion. Is what they're selling the people. You want to know what the truth is? Here it is. That's why when I got to court, they had to shut me down. Just like here. My only advice to everybody is do what we did. Document, document, document. Don't take the word for it. Go look at the legislation. It's right there. It's very simple. Go through your place. Make sure it applies. Again, these are business contracts that they're negotiating against the laws that they're raising money to. They're asking to do $700,000 for a study. Why? Look at how much they studied on the rental license bylaw, and here we are. It's used as interference. It's used as a means of punishment against the people it claims to protect, because they weren't doing the job and still aren't, and refuse to. Malfeasance, misfeasance, plain and simple. Either way, it needs to stop. I'm not signing a lease with anybody. Why? The last several, every time they get interfered with, and then the landlord, and again, this is Southwestern region is the same people. Anyway, I hope you step up. This is on behalf of everyone. Help us demand the inspections, because I guess I'm homeless. Well, I'm homeless now. I'm couch surfing. And we're priced out of the market. We're priced out of the market. There's no way I will ever recover what we had, and years of crime and punishment. What does it mean to uphold the law, to act unlawfully? And again, because they're supporting this unlawfully acting landlord, that means my arrest was unlawful. We are talking about training of the officers too. Again, I have worked with these officers through security and different. I volunteered. I did. I have one. We need to talk about Mennonite Central Committee too, because they run everything. They oversee Ray of Hope, where I was assaulted, and I tried to get, anywhere you'd reach out for any help, they shut it down. It's a cabal. And they control the record. It all looks really good on paper. They've been doing a lot of fundraising and making money and LRT property buyouts and all that. You got to look at it all. It's the ways and means. And let me just finish by saying, years ago, you know, my family life hasn't always been good, and I've been standing on my own since I can remember. And as part of that, I had to stay at the original House of Friendship on Frederick and Weaver, I think it was. Or no, Frederick and Charles. Old house. There wasn't many people. Like, it was overcrowded at the time. It was before they got all the funding to expand and all that. Many, many years ago, I was just a teenager. I can't even remember how old I was. Like maybe 16 or 17. I can't remember. Anyway, I come home from work because I'm working nights. So I come home at 11, and I'm able to come in later because I guess they had to be in by 9 or something. But, you know, because I'm working and I'm basically paying room and board there, you know, I'm staying there, and I come home and I do my thing, and I climb into bed and I go to sleep, and I'm sleeping to get up to go to work the next day. And sometime in the night, all of a sudden, I'm getting pummeled by somebody. Somebody just starts punching me in the head like I'm sleeping. All of a sudden, somebody's just beating on me. And I'm on the bottom bunk, and they're like, they got me pinned. So I'm like fighting them off, and I finally get up, and I push the guy off, and the guys come in, and they break it up. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just sleeping in that. But, you know, what was really telling is how they handled it. Because they had both of us there. The guy who he was drunk and on drugs, and they let him in. And for some reason, seeing my head covered by the blanket or whatever, sleeping, he thought I was somebody else who owed him money. So he just started punching this guy out without even waking up, without seeing who he is or whatever, just starts hammering on me in my sleep for no reason. I did nothing to deserve it. Every reason to defend it. This guy's drunk, he's intoxicated, they got the police there, and they kicked both of us out on the spot and didn't even charge him. Because the whole point is what they do now, what they've always been doing. It's to protect Mennonite Central Committee, House of Friendship. This is the ways and means, again, discovered by accident because it's a system. It's a mechanism. Just like when they pulled the rail switches at Auschwitz. And you need to, and I'm sorry for this, but you need to understand, work for freedom. We're disabled, the old age. Is there a context here? They cover working Canadians. Hard-working Canadians. So you put yourself in the frame of context because of the pressures they're applying, because of the policies they direct and banking they do, in spite of the law. They, this is what we're left with. This is the services you're not paying for. This is your tax dollars working hardly for you. Hardly working for you. Paying their salaries. Worst part about it is they think this is their job. They think this is what they're here to do, because guess what? It is, apparently. Serious questions need to be raised here. Barbados did it. It's time for a referendum. The only vote that needs to happen here is whether or not this crown needs to exist in Canada at all. The other thing that needs to happen is people need to realize that banking and government is required to follow the law, not the other way around. And it's obviously what's happening here. This is real estate fraud. This is implication for anybody who's got a mortgage because you're now in the Chinese finger trap. They got you by the short and curlies, and if you haven't realized that by now, you're about to. Anyway, we're in this together or we're not. Again, this is for you. I got to go write it down, I guess. We're going to go out. We're bringing this public. We're going to try and raise awareness, so I'm sending this out as a package to CBC and everybody else to see if they think it's news yet. Anyway, we're also going to, I got nerve damage in that, but I'm going to try and go out and play a little bit and put notices up and stuff, just to try and raise awareness, because that's all we got left to do. We hope you join us. Either way, get in touch with these people right away. Tell them that we need an inspection. Other than that, June 11th, if there's a hearing, we will be going live on YouTube for that too, because it is a public hearing. A landlord-tenant board hearing is a public hearing. So the other thing I encourage you is, if you don't want to do YouTube, what you do is you get people you know and trust to come and sit in the room out of sight just to be witness to what happens. Because this entity, Miss Edu, again, we wrote letters. I mean, look at how desperate I've been, how much they make me spin around and write it down again and again and again, how detailed I am. We wrote it down. They've been informed. We're going to be out there. We're going to raise awareness for the public. And if Blair, again, the reason why you feel like that is you're notwithstanding. They'll toe you the line. Same with Rosemount. I forget her name. I heard her on the week before when they're talking about putting up buildings in Rosemount. Anywhere they're putting downtown by, Barra Castle and all that, again. And this is tied to Cortlandt Ave. Cortlandt Ave directly is Shane Turner again. I didn't realize that. But we got miles of tape on what they were doing there. Same thing. Again, unlawful rental. And that's without rental license. Same modus operandi. Same assaults. And again, now I understand why the police did it here, because it's just a continuation of what they were doing there. To serve and protect. the crown, their master. But here you have these officers put repeatedly, and even firemen, all these people, nurses, the nurses at the ICU, whatever the hell they call it, where Tom had that happen. 3 weeks they had him going where they were fighting for his life, traumatizing them, the whole situation traumatized when the powers that be had the chance to stop it immediately. The minute that lawyer advocate found out, it was to stop. Instead, they pumped them full of expensive drugs, get them going for 3 weeks, traumatizing everybody, and then turning into this. While we're dealing with this. All is a distraction? When the law says clearly, it starts with them. Who do you trust? Should you trust them? My answer is, go look at what we have here. And I can only say document, document, document. Find out for yourself. Truth matters, I guess. Some people, I guess we're going to find out, right? Anyway, this is long enough. I'm sorry. I don't mean to go that long. Please, step up. You know, we need to stand up. Notwithstanding is in the Constitution. It's a legal term where they go, exactly like I said, you could be a homeowner, you could be disabled, you could be anybody. Unless you're a willing partner. We're looking for willing partners. Did you get that? I didn't come up with this. It's what it is. Anyway, stay safe. Be well. Hope all is well with you and yours. Be well. We are our brother's keeper. Pay it forward. May peace be with you and yours always. And Mennonite Central Committee, which runs Lutherwood and all the services, like I said, you need to look at how the mechanism is. But I'm looking you right in the eye right now, Mennonite Central Committee. And you're done. You need to follow human rights. You have no right to play God. And if you know anything about the real God, I'd be worried. Anyway, I hope you find the courage and strength to stop being a beast, sticking your nose in the asshole in front of you, and learn to stand the fuck up. Because I am standing right here, and I will die on my fucking feet. This is Chris Bacon. Sick and tired of this shit. I hope you guys are too. Because you know what? There's only one way we get out of this, and that's together. I'm leaving the legacy because this is my dying declaration if they come after me or do anything. Again, got nowhere to go. Got no money. Not enough money. And they leave you destitute. You know, Atlas Property Group boasted in the 2 years that they've been doing this, that they went from $8 million to $10 million. And then closed the doors permanently. I think that bears investigation in all of this. Either way, we are requesting, and I'm making it official. Where's that part of the letter? One last thing, just to make it official. Right. Okay. So Order 438, this order is under Section 438, which allows that no person shall neglect or refuse to produce any information or thing. Where person includes corporations and that, the investigators. We are asking where is it? For an oh, hang on. Sorry, just bear with me, sorry. Right, here it is, sorry. We are seeking full criminal investigation request the review of a judge under Section 2741 A and B of the Ontario Municipal Act, and also an inquiry by Commissioner under Section 223.4 of the Ontario Municipal Act. We are doing this on behalf of ourselves, Marshall Street Tenant Association, the tenants here, and the tenants at 100A Marshall Street right now, because technically that license is not valid either. And we are asking you to prove it as well. Because they may be unwittingly roped into acting unlawfully by paying rent as well, which is, again, the only way to find out. Anyway, God bless if you believe in that. Bless yourself or whatever, I don't know, but everybody just please try and be well. Thank you. I'm sorry,